Hello. What's up, Tron DD? Conversation or rant? I'm just going to talk about him, man. Quartermaster veteran, deep thoughts about Band-Maid with Ryan Muir. Team Ramrod. Is there some controversy I missed? No, there's no controversy. Hello. It's all good, man. Let me, what's up, Tron DD? Conversation or rant? And where's that? No, there's just some cool things I realized on a drive today. What's up, Polska Bob? Yo, yo. Can I put any music in the background? It's probably gonna get everything fucking do 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 do. Jesus, not bloody likely. Seeming as I was Thelonious. Let me open this stuff and we'll some background music. Is that okay volume wise? What's up, Eric Dane, Charles Coleman, David S. Some people showing up. Shabo, Roger Chance, beer and a smile. Well, sort of a smile. What's up, man? Charles Coleman, delivering mail right now. So, no, there's nothing bad, dude. I just had a pretty cool moment today with the band. And I just closed down all the music. Dummy. I'll get to it in a second here. Just some realizations. So I went on a drive today. What's up, Lear Dose? Maybe it is too loud. Fuck it. Maybe we don't need music. I don't know. Distracting. Fuck it, we'll go without music. What's up, Russ Henry? Welcome, man. So anyway, I found myself today alone in my car driving and like listening to Band-Maid, and I did something that I've been kind of waiting to do. I know my friend Mads has kind of been in the same situation. I've been listening to epic narratives over and over, the different parts, and I started out listening to the new songs, and then I like started mixing in the whole album, which was a really good thing to do. And then today I actually started the last couple days shuffling epic narratives in with their whole catalog. And YouTube Music was being kind of stupid. It was barely putting any of the new one in. Like sometimes it wouldn't even register. So I was using Spotify today, and it mixed everything, including like Made in Japan. So I was driving along, and it went from like different to like maybe something off Conqueror, like Wonderland. Then By My Tears came on, and I was like, at first I thought that it just jumped from Band-Maid and went to something else. Then I heard Miku's voice. I'm like, oh shit, this is Band-Maid. And I looked down at the dash, and it was By My Tears, and I love the song. I haven't given that album much of a chance. I'll admit it. It's true. And because it's not, they weren't the writers, and that's a fault of mine because obviously there are marks on it. So anyway, it went from that to like, I don't know, Isle, and then it went to Forbidden Tale. and then it would go off to some other albums, and it would play the one. And it was probably the most satisfying drive I've ever had listening to Band-Maid. It was so cool, and I don't know if, you know, I'm just more like open to things now, which is probably the case. I've been listening to a lot more stuff than I ever have. I'm always listening to more, and it was just really eye-opening to me. And I don't know. I'm not criticizing. I understand people process music differently. They like stuff I don't like. They don't like stuff I love. And a lot of people, whenever there's a new Band-Maid album, there's a lot of detractors. Not a lot. There's several detractors that have a lot of issues with what's going on. And most of the time, they kind of come around and are like, oh yeah, okay, now I get it. And sometimes they just don't give it a chance, and they're stuck. But the thing I kind of realize is a lot of a lot of the stuff people complain about are things that have kind of been there the whole time. And that was kind of reinforced when I was reading this interview with Band-Maid and Glay, a joint interview. But it's really insightful and kind of eye-opening as to the process of what happened with this album and what may happen in the future, which is kind of neat. Might be scary for some folks, though. So there's a lot of talk about how Konami may noodle around in songs, and what she adds in, like there's your main rhythm, and then there's a lot of little notes she adds in behind things. And I want to clear up one thing. Noodling around is like saying wandering aimlessly when you're talking about guitar. Someone says somebody's noodling around. They're just playing whatever, no real thought put into it. And that is not what Konami's doing. She puts these parts in specifically to reinforce what's going on in the song. And does she do it a little too much sometimes? I think so. Like sometimes I would like there to be a little space in the music, but I don't think it, you know, I don't see it as a bad thing. It's just something I need to get used to sometimes. And then there's with her, the tone she uses with her doubler pedal or octave pedal or whatever. It's in basically every album. It's always there. I don't know if it gets more prominent or used in different ways, which makes it stick out more than other ones. But you go back and listen to it's always there. I was surprised it was always there. You know, the little notes behind things are always there. Like it would go from different to sense and then to toi moi, and it's like, dude, it's obviously the same fucking band, right? There's no question there. So it's interesting because it can seem so different and it can seem so similar when you listen to them. When you listen to it all together, I think that's where people screw up, is they listen to the new thing and they only listen to the new thing, and they don't mix it in with the old songs. Because, dude, shit from World Domination came on, and it was like, oh my god, I love this sound. Then I really listened to it. I'm like, okay, there may be some more space in World Domination. There's some more space in the music, but there's still all those things there that are undeniably Band-Maid, like now, you know? Different is a crazy song. That song is nuts, dude. It would fit on their new album, I think. So, you know, I know Different wasn't on World Domination, but you get my point. Like, listen to it as a whole. If you like the old stuff, you still have the old stuff. But I think you should give the new stuff a chance next to the old stuff, and give yourself a chance to see the similarities in it, and maybe why certain things were added and certain things were changed. So that's my say on that. I'm obviously not naming anybody, but I just think it's kind of silly sometimes to be so protective of what they've done in the past, like they peaked 5 years ago. And that's really kind of like, it's not cool, man. That's not cool. They didn't peak 5 years ago. You know, I mentioned to somebody the other day that whenever I make comments, I imagine that Band-Maid's going to see them. You know, so if I don't like something, I'll say it. I'll explain why. But you know, I imagine they're going to see it. So I'm just conscious of that. I really, with all artists like that. So if I really talk shit about something, that's because I don't really give a shit about the artist. if there's, if I talk shit about, about Metallica well, no, that's not true. I do give a shit about Metallica, but they know where they fucked up Metallica does. If I talk shit about Bob Seger and all that stuff, I don't care if they hear it. I really don't give a shit. But Band-Maid, I would care. You know what I mean? So I guess it's not. I didn't intend to rant. I didn't intend to rant here, but I just think mix up the sounds. Don't get focused on one album. It all works surprisingly well as a whole. On that note, I wanted to get to this interview between Band-Maid and Glay, where they talked to each other because they were both involved with the opening theme song and the closing theme song for Grandizer You. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's pretty big. But there was a part where I think they asked Band-Maid about Glay's album. And so yeah, they asked if Band-Maid had listened to their album, and Cabato says, yes, it is packed with a wide variety of songs. Each song has a point that says it's a Glay song, and while it has the atmosphere of Glay songs that I've listened to a lot, it also has new developments, so I felt it was very expanding. I thought it was one piece that was packed with the charm of Glay. Konami said, it was one of those albums that made me feel the band is constantly changing. Also, I tend to listen to it from the perspective of this kind of synth is used or this kind of sample effect is used, and she laughs. I was talking about addition and subtraction earlier, but I tend to cram a lot of sounds into my music. In addition to the orchestration of the band, I added various tracks, so I learned a lot by saying, if you add and subtract in this way, the sound pressure will increase this way, and the guitar will be very easy to listen to. So Konami, she's obviously the architect of the band, of Band-Maid, and she listens to other music and learns from it, like no matter what she's listened to. She dissects it and thinks of the synths that were used and what guitars and tones and everything that were used. And Hisashi from Glay says it's still a bit of a decrease, isn't it? I used to have a tendency to cram in a lot of sounds. And Konami says, is that so? So it became a new goal. It became a new goal for me to be able to do the kind of things that this album shows in the future. But so that was interesting. But the main thing I wanted to see, where is it? Interviewer says, next, I would like to ask you about Band-Maid's new album, Epic Narratives, which will be released September 25th. This is the first time since the EP Unleash released. First album since Unleash. And Cabato says, the theme of Unleash was liberation from the Corona disaster, so this time I first thought about drawing a story that would continue from there. And here's what got me, I think. Konami said, up until now, I've been writing songs with the idea that my fans would be happy if I played a song like this, and that I was conscious of my strength as a maid who plays hard rock. But when I started making this album, I started to think that I wanted to take more care of my emotions. During the Corona period, there were a lot of sad and difficult times, but there was also the joy of overcoming them and being able to serve live with an audience for the first time in a while. So the album has songs that are packed with those feelings. Psyche says, after Unleash, we wanted to reaffirm the importance of having fun first, and that's why we were able to agree with Konami's intention as a member. Cabato adds, in this album, the number of lyrics written by Psyche has increased, and I think it has a big factor that can be felt as a new side. And Psyche says, it's hard to say after knowing Glay has a 30th anniversary, but Band-Maid is also celebrating its 10th anniversary, so we celebrated with everyone that we had been able to continue for 10 years. So we were conscious of celebrating a new start and expressing our determination for the future. You know, they say the fact that you put more emphasis on expressing your own thoughts than on delivering them to others is also connected to the album title Epic Narratives. Psyche says, that's right, therefore it is an epic story that expresses determination to the fans, not only in the music but also in the title and the jacket. Each song has a story, and the big idea was that I wanted it to feel like it was packed together like a single city. And Psyche says the concept is to further develop this city, which the jacket represents, as Hisashi adds. It's not translating. And Kabato says, that's right. I had received the image of the jacket from Psyche that I don't want to draw a complete story, but I want it to have more people and feel as expansive as a city. So I decided to create an atmosphere that would pass on the story, and out of several suggestions, I decided on Epic Narratives. Now that you're in charge of writing a lot of lyrics, have you noticed any changes from before? Psyche says it has changed. Teru said I'm a cheerful person earlier, but in the lyrics it's the opposite, and she laughs. I also had a strong desire to use this gap as a weapon, so I was always aware of that when I wrote the lyrics. And so here's what kind of cracked me up was, and I'll take a look at the chat here pretty soon, but Band-Maid was like very concerned about how the album was ordered and how it was perceived as a whole and everything. And then Titter says, I'm sorry to say this, but we are the exact opposite of everyone's passion for the album. We decided the order of songs based on a lottery. They like randomly put their songs in order on the album. And Psyche and Konami, laugh and say that's amazing. And Kabato says, I read that in an interview, but I thought it was really nice to be able to enjoy it in that way. Then Konami says, let's do that with Band-Maid on our 30th anniversary. Let me catch up with chat because there's something else I want to check out more so later. What's going on here? I know some more people came in. Silent Wood, David S. Esther Brown, Scott Miller, Vincenzo Maniac, Michael Reese, Radio Rafa, Bill B. Yeah, so welcome, guys. Bland's a lot. Dude, I think Forbidden Tale is their best song. Yeah, I can't read everything up here. Yeah, Brian says, I love how Glay is basically telling Konami to be more free with creativity and not so reliant on software. What's up, Dave? Dave Bull. Luca Marini. And then we got Go Easy is one of the best. Forbidden Tale is one of the best. The One is the best, That's awesome. They talk about difficulties of traveling overseas and finding food they like to eat. Where is... It's not auto-translating the page like I want to. What would you like to ask the members of Glay from the members of Band-Maid? So this, you can see that they really respect them. And this is a really significant passage here. Konami says, see, Glay has a number of songs that everyone in Japan knows. One of our goals is to make songs like that. I want you to tell me the secret to creating melodies and lyrics that are pleasant to your ears and that you will never forget once you hear them. Do you talk about that with the whole band? Now, the fans of Band-Maid know that she already does that. Konami already accomplishes this every time she writes a song, right? And for her to think like, oh, we want to make melody. I understand where Glay is more, they're more well known in Japan, and Band-Maid just want to be more well known. And Hisashi says, we don't talk about that at all. And Konami says, why don't you talk about it? And Hisashi says, the result of doing what I wanted, yes, the result of doing what I wanted freely. That's why I think Band-Maid should continue to do what they do best. I think that's one of our strengths. So a little bit of lost in translation there, I think. But basically, I think they don't discuss coming up with catchy melodies. They just write what they like, and if they like it, they go with it. And that's one of their strengths. And Konami's like, what I'm good at. Does that mean you can do whatever you want? It's like he says, keep going, it's not a mistake. And Konami says, Hisashi gave me permission to continue doing what I do best, what I love. And that's what we want, man. And Hisashi says that's really the best thing. Also, if you look at the big picture and find the charm that this kind of thing about Band-Maid is not found in other bands, it is absolutely strong, and that's what you keep doing. Konami says, thank you. Wow, there are so many things I want to ask. Can I ask you any more? Kabato and Psyche say it's okay. And here's what got me. Here's really what got me. What's up, Jeff Finn? How you doing, man? So Konami says, I'm good at creating one from scratch, like getting to one from nothing. Like composing, but I'm really not good at making it into 100, like arranging. For example, I couldn't expand the idea of the demo that Misa brought with me. This has been going on for about 3 years. So Konami says she can go from nothing to one. That's her idea of making a demo. Like there's nothing here and I create a whole song. That's one. But she has trouble going from 1 to 100. Now, that may sound crazy to us because what she's doing is going from nothing to 100 on her arrangements already. But she says she had trouble expanding the idea of a demo that Misa brought to her, like working with somebody else's work, which is it's kind of odd because that's what they used to do at the start, right? They would bring him music to work with and they would make changes, they would adjust to it, whatever. But she says this has been going on for about 3 years. So Teru says we were also very worried around the 10th anniversary that there were many times I would say this is not the case and take apart something that was almost finished. However, the arrangements are always made up of 4 people, and drummer Toshimitsu Nagai was also involved, and I had the experience of continuing to do that for a long time. So I think I've changed my mindset to leave it to others. That's why I think everyone goes through at least. Psyche says Glay had such a time. Like she didn't really believe they had that kind of moment too. Also, Hisashi says, I think it's a great idea to leave it to someone who is good at it. And Konami says, so let's leave it to you, shall we? Hisashi was also able to tell me. So, like, she will let somebody else handle it. And Teru's, unexpectedly, if you get together with 5 people, you may have a good idea. And Konami says, sure, I've done it. So Teru says, there's always a moment when you think, oh, that's good. When I got stuck, Takuru suddenly said, Hisashi, try playing that intro for a moment. And the phrase Hisashi played was the trigger for the birth of Beautiful Dreamer. So there's a moment they got stuck and they just talked to each other and it came around. And Konami says, Band-Maid has always written songs by exchanging data, so we've never done anything like that. Never sat down in a room and figured out like a jam. And Teru says, Kamada also said to me that this attitude is very band-like, and that's still the way we do it. And Konami says, I have to do it right away. And Kabato says, let's try it once. And Teru says, it's been 10 years. I think it's okay to try something like that once in a while. You can get together at someone's house. And Konami says, thank you very much. And so, I mean, that's it, man. That, to me, was kind of like, that's something that could upset fans. I think it would be great. Sorry, there's a conversation going on outside. Okay, where was I? Yeah. Okay. So basically, what Glay was telling Konami is like, hey, let somebody else be responsible for part of the music. And I think what's been going on with Band-Maid is it's worked out fine, right? But it's also very hard on Konami to create basically everything and present it to them when clearly they're capable of coming up with parts on their own. And I think that Konami sees that. She probably sees that, knowing that Misa has demos and she had trouble kind of working with what she was given. So this could mean a very different style of music. It might be coming out of Band-Maid next, because if the band starts presenting ideas and Konami finds her spot in those, it could be pretty big, man. I think so. I'm excited about it. It may not happen. They may just find it works best the way it's going right now. But for a band they obviously respect, to say that after 10 years they had the same issue, like, what are we going to do? And they just sat down and worked on stuff together. And Band-Maid might be like, well, maybe, let's try that. It might just give them the confidence to do that, to where they thought if they changed how they did things, it might, fans wouldn't like it or whatever. So, I don't know, man. I think it was pretty cool. I just had a really good day listening to Band-Maid, and then reading that article was like, oh, I like to think of them sitting down and just and jamming, but it seems like they really only get together after they've, like, to rehearse as opposed to create music. They send files. I mean, there's back and forth, obviously, but to sit together and just kind of work out something is different. And I realize why they can't do it, but I always imagine at some point they would just fuck around and play music, So I'm looking forward to something like that. Yeah, it's like using Psyche's lyrics. Don't put it all on MiQ. It's okay to ask for help. Yeah, man. Yeah, jamming, it depends. It can be really good, and it can be frustrating, but it can, if you're stuck on something and you're surrounded by some of the best musicians you've ever met, you should probably just like, hey, listen. But yeah, I think it was important for them to have that conversation with Glay, and it was a really cool interview. That's pretty much it, guys. I wanted to share that, talk about it a little bit, and give us maybe something else to discuss on the Discord. But that's it for me. It's a quick one today. I'm going to go. There's some other shit I got to do around here, but thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you in the Discord. Bye.